What is a scary or horrifying fact that shouldn't be true, but is? There is a parasite that will eat your brain. It's called Naegleria fowleri and it lives in warm water lakes in the sand and silt in the shallows. It will swim up your nose and proceed to eat your neurons and your brain. Usually symptoms occur around 4 hours after infection and include headache, sensitivity to light and nausea. If you experience any of these after swimming in a lake, you need to go to the hospital ASAP. If undiagnosed, you'll be dead within 24 hours. To diagnose it, you'll have to get a spinal tap and pray the tech working knows what to look for. Naegleria fowleri has been found in the drinking water of Pakistan, Australia, and at least 3 US states. You could have mad cow disease for 12 to 50 years before symptoms start showing. 60% of murders are unsolved here in Pakistan. We simply don't have the technology and training of the police officers in the West. Laughs in Brazilian. Cries in South African. But you can't see the tears because the lights are out. An unbelievable number of people who die of dehydration do so with a fair amount of fresh water in their possession. Yep. Knew somebody that died this way due to horrible headaches caused by an undiagnosed brain tumor found during her autopsy that were so painful she threw up to the point of severe dehydration and died in her apartment right next to the sink. Snails have thousands of teeth. Over 150 dead bodies of climbers are still on Mount Everest. There are more Panda Express locations in the world than actual panda bears. In Mississippi and some parts of Florida, there is a bacteria in the water at the coast that will literally eat your flesh off of you. Florida is much safer than Mississippi though. At least in that aspect. There is a mosquito in Florida that, when it bites you, can make your brain swell inside your skull and can possibly kill you. Yeah, a summer camp I was in when I was 14 had to shut down because of this. If a person gets bitten by an animal who has rabies, he will continue to live on a normal life for 12 weeks. And after the symptoms develop, there is no way he's making out alive. You'll know you're gonna die. There are at least 2 genocides taking place right now on this planet. And dozens have happened since World War II ended. Undefined. Within 3 days of death, the enzymes from your digestive system begin to digest your body. Every single year, there are thousands of people in the US alone who disappear. Most of them show up again. Usually the next day, but sometimes a few days, a few weeks, or even a few months later. However, out of these thousands of people, there are roughly 150 people, every single year, who disappear and simply never appear again. Nobody knows what has happened to those people. They might be dead. They might not be. We simply don't know. Dylan Klebold, one of the killers of the Columbine massacre, attended the school's prom 3 nights before the shooting. When he got home, he was talking to his mom and showed her the flask he'd brought to prom, explaining that they'd only drank a little bit. He told her, "I just wanted you to know you can trust me." It's so chilling that he could say that and less than 72 hours later participate in the killing of 13 other people and himself. What's even more frightening is that Columbine was really a failed bombing. They intended to blow up the entire school with propane bombs. Fortunately, none of them detonated. The Amazon forest has a huge gap of virgin forest between Brazil and other countries, places kilometers away from the nearest cities. The Brazilian Institute for Native Indians FUNAI has got agents overlooking tribes, and they take flights over the forest and always end up spotting huts, fire pits and bow and arrow armed men. There are plenty of unknown tribes hiding somewhere that huge forest. People never contacted by civilization. The fun fact is even the Institute agents have no idea of number, types and tribes they're inside. Can't track down, account, or detect their genealogy. Amazon forest is a complex and humid place. You can hide a family of elephants there inside and you won't see it from the sky. You might feel like the healthiest person in the world and yet still randomly die in your sleep. Sudden arrhythmic death syndrome is just one example. There are tons of small obstructions and irregularities that your heart could be suffering from that go completely unnoticed by you, your friends, and your doctors. You might be at an increased risk of just passing on when you go to bed tonight. And no one would even suspect as much until you actually died. A lone pilot was flying in Australia in 1978. He reported to air traffic control that he was accompanied by an aircraft above him. When asked to identify the aircraft, he replied, "It isn't an aircraft." His plane disappeared and was never to be found again. Something is eating the Milky Way galaxy. No, it isn't the plot for a Star Trek episode. It's really happening. In 2009, researchers found a cluster of galaxies moving at an extraordinary speed towards a small patch of sky between the constellations of Centaurus and Vela. Some unknown force is tearing away chunks of the galaxy, and astronomers still have no clue what exactly is causing it. It's been named dark flow. There is something big out there, far bigger than anything in our known universe. Such a behemoth would impose a kind of tilt on the universe, causing matter to move in one particular direction, as observations of the dark flow suggest. Could be anything, up to and including another universe. If you own pets and die at home, and your body isn't found for a few days to weeks, your cat will begin eating your body usually within 24 to 48 hours, or basically when their food dish has been completely empty for a day or two. Your dog, on the hand, will usually wait a week or two at least. And even then only after they've tried and eaten the food they're able to get to that are in low cupboards or the fridge if they're big enough to open it. Human trafficking is so much more prolific than people realize. From sex workers that were manipulated into a lifestyle they cannot escape from, to domestic servants working off a debt, to people who are being held against their will for any number of reasons. This year more people will do cocaine than will read a book to their children. I read a book to my kid. Do I get a free cocaine? Stupid people exist. It is not uncommon to see symptoms of AIDS start appearing after 5 to 10 years of infection from HIV. Also, that world leaders have failed to take measures to keep the global temperature change to 3°C and so pushed the new target to 4°C, which still seems very difficult, and therefore are trying to push it to 5°C. For perspective, the last time global temps changed by 5%, it ended the Ice Age. Also, we're past the point of no return for global warming, and even if this very moment everyone became carbon neutral somehow, we'd still need to pull CO2 out of the atmosphere to get back to acceptable levels. Great theory. But it has not been proven, and cannot be in our lifetime. We do not have enough long-term data. About what? Global warming. Something like the CO2 measurements in our atmosphere are primarily based on emissions from a decade ago. Whatever we measure today is basically a reflection of what we humans did 10 years ago. Meaning you can already get an idea of what our measurements would look like 10 years from now, since based on what we've changed in our emission habits. Which is to say largely nothing at all.